In a quiet part of space, far from busy planets and crowded trade routes, a small ship floated alone. Its name was Rover 7, a human exploration ship with only 5 crew members. It was silent and common, till a strange signal broke through. Static. Tom, the ship's engineer, was sitting in the control room when he noticed it. A soft pulse, repeating every few seconds. It wasn't human, wasn't even from any known alien language. It was old, weak, and coming from a nearby nebula. "Captain, there's something out there," Tom said, his eyes fixed on the screen. The captain leaned over. "Signal looks damaged. Could be a lost drone or broken ship. You want to check it?" "Out." Tom nodded. He was always curious, always ready to fix broken things, ships, tools, even hearts if he could. A few hours later, Rover 7 approached the source. It wasn't a drone. It was a large alien vessel, silent and empty-looking. The ship's hull was scratched and burned. No lights, no movement. "She's dead," someone whispered. "Maybe," Tom said.
"Well,
"But we should be sure." "What?" Up and entered the small transport pod. Pod attached to the alien ship, and with a hiss, the door opened. Darkness greeted him. He stepped inside with a flashlight and scanned the walls. The ship's design was strange, smooth, metallic, with long curved hallways. Everything was cold and quiet. He moved slowly, carefully. Then he heard it, a soft sound, like breathing. He followed it, heart beating fast, in a small room near the center. He found her, an alien woman, tall, silver-skinned, with deep violet eyes, sat against the wall. Her uniform was torn, and her face looked tired. But her eyes watched him, alert and sharp. Tom raised both hands. "I'm not here to hurt you," he said gently. She didn't respond. Her eyes narrowed. "My name is Tom. I'm human. I found your signal." Still, she said nothing. Tom slowly reached into his suit and pulled out a small device, a translator. He set it on the floor and activated it. The translator buzzed and blinked, slowly syncing with her language. Then she spoke, her voice cold. "Why are you here?" "To help," Tom said. She looked at him with disbelief. "Humans do not help. They take." Tom smiled a little. "That's not always true." She stood weakly, leaning against the wall. She was taller than him, but her body looked fragile now, like she hadn't eaten or slept in days. "I have nothing for you," she said. "No weapons, no data. Just leave me." Tom stepped closer, but stayed calm. "You're hurt. Let me help." She frowned. "Why?" "Because you're alive, and you're strong." And he paused, looking at her face. It was unlike anything he had ever seen. Strange, yes, but not ugly. Her eyes, though tired, were full of quiet strength. Her silver skin shimmered softly. Under the light, "You're beautiful." The room went silent. She blinked slowly. "What did you say?" Tom felt his face warm a little. "I said, you're beautiful." She stared at him, stunned, like she had never heard the word before, or maybe never understood it. The translator repeated the word softly in her language. "Beautiful." She looked down, confused. "Would you say that?" Tom shrugged, smiling. "Because it's true. My people do not use that word," she said. "We do not speak of looks or softness. Only strength. Only survival." "Well," Tom said, sitting down across from her, "maybe your people are missing something." For a long moment, she said nothing. Then she slowly sat back down. Her shoulders relaxed a little. "What is beautiful to humans?" she asked, Tom thought. "It's more than just how someone looks. It's a feeling. A mix of grace, strength, kindness. Something that makes your heart stop for a second." The alien woman looked at him quietly. "Strange." Tom chuckled. "Yeah, we are strange." She looked at her broken ship. "My name is Leary." Tom nodded. "Nice to meet you, Leary." Her voice softened, just a little. "Are all humans like you?" He smiled. "No, some are worse, some are better. But most are trying to be good." She leaned her head back against the wall. Then maybe I was wrong. Tom looked around. Your ship is in bad shape. I can fix some parts. Maybe help power up life support. Leary didn't stop him if you wish. As Tom opened his toolkit and began working, Leary watched him carefully. He moved with care, talking softly to his tools, sometimes humming to himself. No one from her world ever hum. No one from her world ever called anyone beautiful. She looked at him again. He wasn't tall. He wasn't strong like her warriors. But there was something steady in his hands, something warm in his voice, something different. And for the first time in her life, Leary felt something more than duty. She felt curious. The room was still, except for the soft clicks of Tom's tools and the faint hum of Leary's damaged ship. Worked slowly, fixing a cracked power node on the wall. Small sparks danced as he connected wires. Leary sat nearby, watching him with careful eyes. Her body was still weak, but her mind was awake, full of questions she never had before. She could not forget the word he used, beautiful. In her world, no one said such things. Her people didn't speak of beauty. They spoke of strength, function, and purpose. Every word had a use. Every emotion was controlled. Feelings like comfort or wonder were seen as distractions, but when Tom said that word, something in her heart moved. She looked at her reflection in the smooth wall, her silver skin, her long, sharp features. To her people, her body was useful, made for speed, for silence, for war. But no one had ever looked at her the way Tom did. Tom, she said softly. He looked up. Yes, what did you mean? When you said I was beautiful? Tom wiped his hands and sat down near her, not too close, just enough so they could speak clearly. I meant what I said, he answered. To humans, beauty isn't just about how someone looks. It's also about the feeling you give when someone sees you or hears your voice. She frowned. I do not understand. You saw me for the first time, and you felt something. Yes, Tom nodded. You looked tired but strong, alone but proud. Something about the way you stared at MIT made me stop. It made me want to know you. Leary looked away. That is strange to me. He smiled kindly. It's strange to me, too, but sometimes strange is good. They sat in silence for a moment. Then Tom reached into his bag and pulled out a small glass case. Inside it was a tiny flower, bright yellow with soft green leaves. It was alive, protected by a gentle field of light and water. Leaned closer. What is that? This is a flower from Earth, Tom said proudly. It's called a daisy. It grows in fields under open skies. It doesn't fight, doesn't build. It just exists, and humans love it. Leary looked at it with wonder. Why? Because simple. It's soft. It reminds people of peace. She stared at the daisy for a long time. My people would not care for it. They would call it weak. Tom nodded. Maybe, but to us it gives hope. Leary looked at him again. You are very different from what I expected. You expect? He asked. Loud voices? Demands? Someone trying to take control? Tom chuckled. We have people like that too. But not all of us. Leary shifted her position. She still felt pain in her side. Her ship had been hit during a patrol near the nebula. Her crew was gone. She barely survived. You said humans try to be good, she said quietly. Why? Because we've made mistakes, Tom answered. A lot of them, and now we try to do better. Leary was silent. Then she asked, Do you ever lose hope? Looked at the daisy. Sometimes. But then I remember small things, like a flower blooming in space, or meeting someone unexpected. She didn't reply, but something in her eyes softened. After a moment, Tom stood up. Your ship's backup systems are stable now. Life support is running, but some parts need more time. Thank you, she said. The words felt strange in her mouth, but right. Tom gave a small nod. You're welcome. He turned to leave the room, but paused at the door. By the way, he said with a gentle smile, Your name, Leary, it sounds beautiful too. Her eyes widened slightly. She didn't answer. But after he left, she sat alone in the quiet room, her fingers lightly touching the smooth floor. She whispered the word to herself. Beautiful. She thought of her people, how they trained from birth to fight, to lead, to win. No one ever looked at one another with warmth. No one ever said kind things just to say them. Leary remembered the last mission she flew. Her ship was damaged by a sudden burst of energy near the nebula. Her crew had followed orders until the end. There was no fear, no tears, only duty. She was the only one left. And yet now a stranger had entered her broken world, not to take, but to fix, not to fight, but to help. And he used a word that had no place in her culture. She stood slowly, walked to the doorway, and looked down the hall. Tom was already turning a corner, carrying his tools. Human, she called. He stopped and turned. I still don't understand you, she said. He smiled. You don't have to. Not all at once. She stepped forward. But I want to. Tom's smile widened. That's a good start. Leary nodded. I will help. You repair the ship. I want to see how you work. Deal, he said. And maybe I'll show you more flowers. She didn't smile, not quite. But the corners of her mouth lifted just enough to make Tom feel lighter as they walked back. To the control room together, Leary felt something she had never felt before. Not just survival, not just duty, something new. Something warm. The hum of the alien ship grew stronger. Tom's repairs were working. Lights slowly blinked back to life, and the air inside grew warmer. Leary walked beside him through the curved halls of her ship, watching every move he made. She had never seen someone work like him before. Tom didn't just fix things, he spoke to them. When a wire refused to connect, he whispered, "Come on, be nice." When a panel slid into place, he gave a satisfied, "There we go." It was strange. Too Leary, but comforting. You talk to machines, she said after a while. Tom smiled. I guess I do. Helps me think. Makes me feel like I'm not alone. Leary tilted her head. Machines don't speak back. They do in their own way, he replied. They blink, beep, resist, respond. You just have to learn how to listen. Leary looked at a panel on the wall, blinked twice, steady and slow. This one? Is thankful? Tom laughed softly. Maybe. She didn't laugh, but she watched his face when he did. It was relaxed, easy, like his heart wasn't carrying heavy weight. She didn't know how to be like that. They reached the main control room. The seat was burned and the screens were cracked, but most of the core functions were still alive. Let's see what your ship wants to say, Tom said, kneeling down to open a maintenance hatch. As he worked, Leary sat beside a small console. She tapped a few keys and brought up a picture of her old crew, strong faces, all wearing the same armor. All serious, all gone. Tom glanced up. Is that your team? She nodded. They were my unit. We trained together for 10 years, fought side by side. I'm sorry, Tom said gently. I do not want pity, she replied quickly. It's not pity, just respect. At him again, trying to understand the way he used words. On her planet, death was not mourned with emotions. It was marked in records. One line, one date. Move forward. But Tom, he respected the memory. Even if he never met them, she pressed a button. The picture disappeared. What about you? She asked. Do you have a team? Tom pulled out a small photo from inside his suit. It was a group of 5 humans standing on a green hill under a blue sky. They were smiling. This is my crew, he said. We explore together, fix broken satellites, study old ruins. Sometimes we just float near moons and watch space storms. Leary studied the photo. They smile. Yeah, Tom said. Humans smile when they feel good, or when they want others to feel good. You don't do that, I noticed. Leary leaned back. My people think emotions are weakness. Feelings can be used against you, so we hide them. Tom looked up from his tools. But you don't have to hide them now. She didn't answer, but her eyes lingered on the picture in his hand. Where is this? She asked, pointing at the green hill. That's Earth, Tom said. My home. She blinked slowly. It has green ground. Grass, Tom said, and blue skies, oceans, mountains, forests. It's not perfect, but it's full of life. Leary sat quietly for a moment. We live underground. Our world is hot and dry. No colors, no open skies. Tom pulled a small screen from his bag and tapped on it. Video played birds flying over a river, waves crashing on a beach, children running through trees. Lir. I leaned closer, eyes wide. She had never seen anything like it. It's loud, she whispered. Tom chuckled. Yeah, but it's a good kind of loud. Leary reached toward the screen but didn't touch it. Do people there call each other beautiful? Tom nodded. All the time, when they mean it. She looked at him, then away. I still do not understand why you said it to me. Tom paused. 'Cause you are. You survived, kept fighting, even when everything was lost. And now, you're here, asking questions, opening your mind. That's beautiful to me. Leary didn't speak. Her eyes stayed on the moving rivers and flying birds. Something inside her was changing. She didn't know how to name it. Tom stood up and offered her something wrapped in clear film. This is called chocolate. It's sweet. Want to try it? She took it carefully, sniffed it, then bit a small piece. Her eyes widened. It is strange, but not bad. Tom grinned. That's what people say about me too. She didn't laugh, but her expression softened. Thank you, she said quietly. For the chocolate, for not treating me like a weapon. Tom nodded. You're welcome. They spent the next few hours fixing systems together. Leary learned quickly. She followed Tom's movements, asked questions, even made a few jokes dry and quiet, but Tom noticed as the ship's lights came fully on and the control panels glowed with new energy. Tom leaned back. Your ship is almost back to normal. Thanks to you, Leary said. No, Tom said, thanks to us. They looked at each other, two beings from different worlds. One raised in silence and duty, one raised in noise and feeling. But now, working side by side, they had built something. New, not just repairs, connection. As the stars outside shimmered through the ship's window, Leary spoke again. Tom, will you tell me more about Earth? He smiled. I'll show you everything I can. And deep inside, where her people had built walls around her thoughts, a quiet voice whispered, maybe I want to be seen as beautiful again. The days passed. Slowly on the silent alien ship, Tom and Leary worked together, side by side, fixing each broken system one at a time. They didn't speak all the time, but when they did, their words felt important. There was a calm rhythm to their work now. Tom's tools clicked and buzzed, and Leary moved with quiet skill, learning fast. She had never repaired ships before, only commanded them. But under Tom's guidance, her hands became steady, her touch more patient. One evening, they sat in the ship's viewing room. The walls were dark, but a wide window showed the stars beyond, glowing like silver dust across the black sky. Tom sat on the floor, holding a cup of warm liquid from his emergency supplies. Leary stood by the window, arms crossed, her eyes fixed on the stars. You never sit, Tom said. I was trained to stay alert, she replied. You can be alert while sitting. Leary hesitated, then slowly sat down beside him. She rested, her back against the wall, and looked at the stars again. I used to think space was cold and empty, Tom said. But the longer I stay out here, the more I think it's full of stories. Leary turned her head. Stories. Yeah, every star, every ship, every signal, it all means someone was there. Someone lived, felt something. She didn't speak for a moment. Then she said, we don't tell stories, follow rules. Orders. Tom nodded. That's important too, but stories make life bigger. Leary looked at the stars again. Tell me one. Tom smiled. Once, back on Earth there. was a boy who wanted to touch the moon. Everyone told him it was impossible, but every night he climbed the tallest hill, held out his hand, and dreamed. One day, when he grew up, he became an astronaut, and he really did touch the moon. Leary was quiet. It's just a story. But it gave people hope, Tom said. That's the power of it. Leary thought for a long time.
I'll leave in.
She said, when I was young, I once asked my teacher what color the sky was. Tom looked at her in surprise. Why? Because we live underground. I had never seen the real sky, only screens. My teacher told me that sky had no use, so its color did not matter. Tom frowned. That's kind of sad. I believed her for years, Leary said. But now, when I look at the stars, I wonder if maybe I missed something. Tom stood and walked to the window. Do you want to see a real sky one day? She looked at him. Would I be allowed? Tom nodded. If you come with me to Earth. Yes. Leary didn't answer, but something in her expression changed. Like a door opening just a little. That night, as Tom returned to Rover 7 to bring back parts, Leary stayed behind. She walked through her ship alone, touching the walls with her fingertips. This ship was her home once. It carried her through battles, through dark sectors. Now it felt like a memory. She stopped near the crew quarters. The beds were still there, empty, cold. She stood at the doorway, remembering their voices there. Strength, their silence. I wish I could have saved them, she whispered. The ship didn't answer. Later, Tom returned with a small gift. He held it behind his back as he walked into the control room. Lyra was checking energy levels when he said, I brought something. She turned. More tools? Nope. A surprise. He held out a thin cloth. When she unfolded it, she found a printed photo. It was a wide field of tall grass, with wildflowers of every color. A soft breeze moved across the picture, and in the distance stood a single tree with golden leaves. This is real? She asked. Very real. I took the picture myself. She stared at it. It's peaceful. Tom smiled. That's what Earth feels like, in the quiet places. Leary looked up. Do you think someone like me could belong in a place like that? Yes, Tom said, without hesitation. Someone like you deserves to see a world without walls.
Ow.
She folded the picture carefully and placed it inside her jacket. Thank you. You're welcome. That night, Leary had a dream. She stood in the middle of a green field, her bare feet in soft grass. The sky above was endless and blue. She lifted her face to the sun, and for the first time in her life, she felt the warmth not from machines, not from war but from nature itself. When she woke, her eyes felt strange, wet. She wiped them quickly, not understanding the feeling. Later, while checking the outer hull, Leary heard a strange sound. A small crack in the ship's engine core had opened again. A red warning light blinked. Tom was busy inside. Without waiting, Leary rushed to the damaged area. She pulled off the cover and began fixing it with her hands. The heat burned her palms, but she didn't stop. Tom arrived moments later. Leary, what are you doing? Stopping the leak. You're hurt. I can hold it. Just seal the backup valve. Tom jumped into action. In seconds, the valve closed. The red light faded. The danger passed. Leary sat back, breathing hard. Her hands were burned, shaking. Tom knelt beside her. You didn't have to do that. I did, she said. Because this ship still matters, and because you matter. Tom looked at her with soft eyes. You saved us both. She looked down at her hands. They will heal. He gently took her hands in his. You're stronger than anyone I've ever met. She looked up at him. Even strong people need peace. Tom nodded. Then let's find it together. Leary didn't speak, but she held his hand a little tighter. Tom carefully wrapped Leary's hands in soft cloth. They sat near the engine core, where the emergency lights had faded and the room was calm again. Leary didn't wince from the pain. She had faced worse. But something in the way Tom handled her injuries made her chest feel tight. You didn't have to rush in, Tom said softly, his voice steady. There are safer ways to fix things. Leary nodded once. I saw the crack forming. Oh. There was no time. He smiled faintly. Still, I'd rather have a broken engine than see you hurt. Her eyes lifted to his. He looked serious. No joke, no lightness in his voice. She lowered her head, unsure how to reply. Tom stood and offered her a bottle of water. Drink, you need to rest. I do not require you need to rest, he repeated gently but firmly. Leary hesitated, then took the bottle and drank. The water cooled her throat, and something else inside her began to cool as well. A part of her that had always burned with orders, rules, and duty now felt. Quiet, as the ship returned to normal, Leary and Tom spent more time in the viewing room. Leary began to ask questions not just about Earth, but about feelings, music, books, and simple things like how humans celebrated birthdays or what rain felt like on the skin. One afternoon, Tom pulled out a small device from his bag. Want to hear something strange? She tilted her head. Strange in what way? It's called music. It's from Earth. I picked this song because it's calm. It flowed like water, like wind moving across leaves. Leary sat still, eyes closed. What does it mean? She asked after a while. Sometimes it doesn't need to mean anything. It just feels. She opened her eyes. I don't understand what I'm feeling. Tom nodded. You don't have to name it. Just listen. So she did. Later, they stood near the broken communication panel. Tom was trying to rewire it, hoping they could send a message to his crew. If I get a signal out, he explained, they might send help. A small ship. Enough to carry us both. Leary paused. You would take me with you? He looked at her. If you want to come? Leary didn't reply immediately. She touched the side of the panel and said, I was never meant to leave my people. Behind, Tom adjusted a wire. Would they welcome you back? No, she said. They would see me as a failure, a lost piece of war. Tom sighed. You're not a weapon, Leary. You're more than what they made you. She turned to Ward. Him, but that's all I've ever known, and maybe it's time to know something else. A few minutes of silence passed between them, but it was not cold or distant. It was thoughtful. Tom broke the quiet. You know, I just realized something. What? I don't know your full name. Leary blinked. Why does it matter? Because. Names are more than labels. They carry stories. Who you are, where you came from, she hesitated. Then she said, My name is Leary Tal. Tom smiled. Leary Tal, it suits you. She frowned slightly. Most humans struggle with it. I don't mind trying. Leary Tal, he repeated carefully. Strong name. Feels like wind over stone. She gave the smallest smile. That is what it means in my language. Wind over stone. Tom's eyes widened. Really, I just guessed you were correct. I think you're the first person I've met whose name is poetry. Leary turned her gaze back to the stars, but the corners of her mouth curved slightly. It was not a smile like Tom's wide and bright, but it was hers. That night, Leary walked the quiet halls of her ship alone. She passed the empty training room, the old sleeping quarters, the mission records, all cold now. All from a time that no longer held her heart. She found herself back in the viewing room. The stars outside blinked gently, peaceful. I am changing, she whispered to the glass, and I do not know what that means. Behind her, a voice said softly, It means you're alive. Tom had followed her, barefoot, quiet. Leary turned. Were you watching me? Only because I care? She lowered her eyes. It's hard. To accept care? My kind were never trained to need it. He walked up beside her. You're not training anymore. You're choosing. They stood in silence again. Then Leary asked, When you first saw me, what did you think? Tom smiled. I thought you were dangerous. I was. I also thought you were beautiful. She looked at him sharply. Why do you keep saying that? Because it's true, he said calmly. I do not understand what that word means to you. Tom placed a hand on the glass. It means you have something special that can't be copied. It's in your voice, your choices, your strength. It's in the way you ask questions now, in the way you care, even if you hide it. Leary looked down. No one has ever said that to me. Then I'm glad I'm the first. They stood in stillness, but the space between them was no longer heavy. It was full of something new. Not love, not yet, but the shape of it was forming in silence. Suddenly, the communication panel beeped. Tom rushed toward the control room, Leary right behind him. The panel blinked green as signal received. Tom's hands moved quickly over the controls. It's my crew. They heard the beacon. Ship is on the way. Leary stared at the screen. So, this is it. Tom turned to her. No, this is the beginning. She looked at him, unsure. You don't have to decide right now, he said. But if you come with me, I'll show you everything you've missed. The sky, the fields, the rain. A world that doesn't want to use you, just welcome you. Leary looked at her ship. The rescue ship arrived. Quietly just a small scout vessel from Earth, not much larger than a passenger shuttle. Its lights blinked like fireflies in the dark as it drifted toward the damaged alien ship. The stars around it seemed to pause for a moment, like they were holding their breath. Tom stood at the docking bay, watching through the window as the vessel approached. His fingers tapped nervously on the glass. He had waited for this moment. For days, but now that it had come, something inside him felt heavy. Behind him, Leary stood in silence, watching too. Are you ready? Tom asked. Leary didn't answer right away. I do not know. Tom turned to face her. You don't have to decide right now. You can wait or even stay if you want. She shook her head. My ship won't survive much. Longer. I've already said goodbye to it. Then what are you unsure about? Leary looked down at her hands, still lightly bandaged from the engine core accident. I've never lived without rules, without missions. I don't know who I'll be in your world. Tom stepped closer. You'll be Leary. That's enough. She looked up at him. What if I fail? Then I'll be there, and we'll figure it out together. Leary took a slow breath. I don't know how to belong. You don't have to know. You just have to start. They stood close. Not touching, but the air between them was warm. With quiet trust, the docking signal blinked green. Tom pressed the button, and the outer doors opened with a soft hiss. A narrow bridge extended from the Earth vessel to the alien ship. Wind from the Earth ship moved through the corridor, bringing with it a different smell. Fresh, human. Leary took one step forward, then another. She looked back at her ship. It was silent. Empty now. A machine full of memories. Goodbye, she whispered. Tom waited for her. When she reached his side, he smiled. Let's go. They stepped onto the bridge together. Inside the Earth vessel, a small crew waited. The humans, a woman named May and a man named Raffinotted, in greeting. Tom introduced Leary. She's coming with us. Raffi raised an eyebrow, but said nothing. May offered Leary a water pack. Welcome aboard. Leary took it slowly. Thank you. It guided her to a seat beside a window. As the shuttle pulled away, Leary saw her ship growing smaller, quiet shape against the stars. Part of her still felt connected to it, but she did not cry. She simply watched. Tom sat beside her. We'll be on Earth in a few days. Stop at the moon station first. What is the moon like? Leary asked. Gray, dusty, but beautiful in its own way. She leaned back in her seat. I want to walk under a sky, a real one, you will. In the quiet hours that followed, Tom showed her images of Earth oceans, forests, cities full of lights. He showed her birds, rivers, children playing in green fields. Leary watched everything closely. Like a student seeing a new language for the first time, she pointed to one picture. What is that? That's a kite, Tom said. You fly it in the wind for fun. She tilted her head. It has no purpose. Tom grinned. Exactly. She thought for a moment. I would like to try it. He smiled. Right. We'll find one. That night, Leary lay in the guest quarters of the small ship. The walls were white and soft lit. No commands came from speakers. No alarms. Just stillness. She stared at the ceiling. The first time in her life, she felt safe. But safety was strange. It made her feel hollow, unsure. Her hands were not holding weapons. Her back was not straight from duty. She was just a person lying in a bed. She touched the picture of the golden tree Tom had given her. She had kept it close all this time. Leery and tall, she whispered to herself. Wind over stone. Maybe wind can change. In the morning, Tom found her sitting alone near the observation window again. You slept? He asked. A little. You dream? She nodded. I walked in grass. The wind was warm. I was barefoot. He smiled. That's a good dream. Maybe it's a memory from the future, she said quietly. I like that idea. The moon came into view soon after. Its round shape glowed softly under the light of a nearby star. The earth was just behind it, a blue and white marble turning. Slowly in the dark, Leery stood frozen. Is that? Tom nodded. That's home. Her eyes filled with wonder. It looks alive. It is. As the shuttle docked at the moon station, Leery felt her heart beat faster. People stared at her, some with surprise, some with confusion, but none with hate. She was tall, strange, unfamiliar, but not unwelcome. Tom stayed beside her, always in a quiet garden on the station. Leery reached out and touched a small flower growing in a clear dome. It's so soft, she said. Life is softer than war, Tom replied. She turned to him. Am I allowed to have a soft life? He looked at her gently. Yes, you are. She looked out the window at Earth again. Then I want to see it. The trees, the skies, the rain. Tom held out his hand. Leery took it. The small shuttle descended slowly through Earth's sky. Clouds parted to reveal a world of color-green forests, deep blue oceans, wide rivers, and golden hills. Leery pressed her face gently to the glass window, her breath forming a faint fog on it. This is real? She whispered. Tom smiled beside her. Very real. The shuttle glided over a peaceful valley. Fields stretched in all directions, and mountains stood tall in the distance. The landing base was simple, quiet, and surrounded by trees. Birds flew overhead as if welcoming her. When they stepped out of the shuttle, Leery closed her eyes. The wind touched her skin, warm and clean. The air smelled of leaves, soil, and something soft she could not name. She opened her eyes and looked up at the sky. No metal, no gray ceiling, just blue, endless and alive. Tom stood beside her, watching her quietly. Do you hear that? Asked. She listened. Birds? He nodded. And that soft rustle, that's the wind through the trees. Leery looked around slowly. It's so open. Freedom usually is, Tom said gently. They walked down a small path leading into a forest. The ground was uneven but soft. Grass grew between stones, insects buzzed. Sunlight passed through the branches like golden rivers in the air. Tom took her to a clearing where people were building a new science station. It wasn't a military base. There were no weapons. Just humans, laughing, working, living. Some looked at Leery with wide eyes. But no one turned her away. She's with me, Tom said simply, whenever someone asked, and they nodded. Later that day, Tom took Leery to a nearby cottage. It was small, with stone walls and a wooden roof. Inside, it had simple things to beds, a small table, a bookshelf, and a kettle for tea. This is where I stay when I'm not traveling, Tom said. You can stay here too, as long as you want. Leery walked through the space slowly, touching the walls, the shelf, the blanket folded on a chair. This place feels quiet, she said. That's how I like it. I think I like it too. That evening, it began to rain. Leery stepped outside without a coat, raising her face to the sky. The rain touched her forehead, rolled down her cheeks. It was soft, not cold. She let out a breath. It doesn't hurt, she said aloud. It feels like a song I never heard before. Tom stood at the door, watching. Should come inside or you'll get soaked. Leery shook her head. No, not yet. She spread her arms and stood still. The rain soaked her hair, her clothes, her hands. But she didn't care. For the first time in her life, she wasn't hiding. She wasn't following orders. She wasn't fighting, she was just being. A few minutes later, Tom stepped into the rain too. He walked beside her, then simply stood there, sharing the silence. "Why are you here?" she asked. "Because you are." She looked at him through the falling rain. "Do you still think I'm beautiful?" she asked, her voice quiet. Tom smiled. More than ever, she blinked. "Why? Because now you're not just strong. Free. And that kind of beauty shines from the inside." Leary didn't answer. But she didn't look away either. They went back inside, drying off with towels and sitting by the small heater. Tom made her a hot drink, sweet and warm. She took a sip and closed her eyes. "This is new too." He laughed softly. "There's a lot more waiting for you." Leary looked around. "What will I do now?" "Whatever you choose. You can study, teach, travel, rest, anything." She thought for a long moment. "Then I want to learn how to live. I want to plant something, watch it grow. I want to help, not harm. I want to walk and not march." Tom nodded. "You will." All of that, days turned into weeks. Leary stayed in the cottage. She helped Tom fix broken tech at the station, listened to music at night, and read books with strange stories. She planted her first flower in the soil behind the house. It was small, with soft yellow petals. She named it Solon, meaning light in her old language. One morning, Tom found her sketching in a notebook. She was drawing the golden tree from the picture he had given her. "You remembered it," he said. "I never forgot it. Do you still keep the picture?" She nodded and pulled it from her pocket. "But I think now, I want to draw my own." "You already are." That evening, as the sun set behind the mountains, Leary stood outside and watched the sky change. Orange, gold, and deep blue danced above her. Tom joined her. "I never thought I'd end up here," she said. "I never thought I'd meet someone like you." She turned to him. "You changed my world. You changed mine." They didn't need to say more. Leary looked at the horizon. "Do you think stars remember the ones who leave them behind?" Tom followed her gaze. "Maybe, or maybe the stars wait quietly, hoping you'll find your way back." She smiled, soft, real. "I think I found a better place." He nodded. "And I'm glad you're here." She reached out and took his hand. For a long time they stood together, hand in hand, under a sky that never asked for war, never asked for obedience, only for wonder and for hearts to be open. Wind moved through the trees like an old friend, and the stars blinked above, not watching, but welcoming. Leary had come home.